Good morning. Going to be continuing on the journey a little bit. Not going to be a super long stream today. Take care of some stuff inside today. Let's go ahead and get started. I don't think I'm missing much at the moment. Alright, so where did we leave off? Let's see, I was installing Rust Analyzer apparently. Go ahead and close that one. Morning, Sarcastic Dante, how are you? I also did the update on Nightly. Still running Nightly for some reason. It doesn't seem to bother anything, but let's see, should we switch that? Probably not now. Alright, so we had this font.rs, and we were going through, extracting out some of the font bits. We're actually rendering the fonts in Godot. The scaling was wrong, and we were going through trying to get the fonts to have less mesh data, so reducing the number of vertices. And to do that, we were adjusting the tessellation. What is that? The distance between adjustments in the tessellation. What was that called? Tolerance. We were adjusting the tolerance, and we saw that these fonts start out very, very large. And it dawned on me after the stream that if the tessellation was done with a specific tolerance for all font sizes, then some of them would end up looking poorly. Which means that this hash here of the tessellated characters, glyphs, should be per font size. So if we knew what size we wanted this to eventually be, we'd be able to say, have a glyph for that size. And the reason is because, well, we could probably adjust this later. Should probably do that. Just try to get something working first, then we'll make it better and improve on it. But it's worth keeping in mind because of this here. The tolerance needs to be adjusted per font size or per kind of group of font sizes. All right. So let's say that we want, you know, it's not going to actually take much. If we had the lookup being a character and tolerance, and what would the tolerance be in F32? We probably want something else that represents this. So when we think about a font face, and these things are getting rendered out very, very large, they're like 2,000 high, they're EMs, I think is what the measurement is. So to get it down to the size that I want, saying that the tolerance is going to be 960, trying to reduce the number of, reduce the scale here. What would be a good way of doing that? Could we have a font size here? Or target size? Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. Let me check on the network here. Let's see. It looks like I lost signal for just a little bit. All right. So we could have some sort of font size. That'd be some sort of F32. We'll get past that in. And that would work. And then there's a trouble of having a font rendered in Godot. You can see that we have the letter D rendered here. If we go and show the wireframe, you'll see that with the tessellation being 960, we have many fewer vertices in this. And then if we increase the number of vertices, it would be smoother on the outside. Therefore, it would look better on a bigger model. Yeah, it's working. That looks like a much better font rendering than we had before. Before I was really disappointed in how that looked. So we're gonna go ahead and pass the font size in. I wonder, there's only going to be so many characters in here. And this isn't going to be used a lot because the text objects are going to have their own hash map of meshes. So if we go to text here, these are also going to have chars. And the multi-meshes mean that there's going to be one mesh in multiple places for this. And the reason that we have these separated out is, well, because for a multi-mesh, every instance is always shown. It doesn't get called by the camera. So by splitting these into individual units, let's say for the screen portion here, if this suddenly went off screen, all of those meshes would then not be drawn, which is why we have a second hash map here. So, coming back to font, let's figure out this. I don't know if F32 is going to work there. It's how... Does F32 have the needed traits implemented for it? For a hash map? I mean, equal. Does it have equal? Morning, Krasink. Doing well, sir. Doing well. So, F-32. We've got all of these different functions on that, of course. Right. Does it have hash? Equal? See, it doesn't have equal. Does it have partial equal? It does. Partial order. Okay. Let's see. Oh, this needs a font size. Where did I put that last one? Oh, it's down here. And that's called there. Ah. Because F-32 doesn't have hash. We could use integers. Okay, fix those. That gets passed through. We have to pass it through right here. It's our font size. Okay. Good morning. Sen Kamun, good morning. They say, but the scripts in-game are in GD script? They are not. No, I'm using Rust for all of the game logic. I think GD script is great, but I just want to learn Rust and use Rust and get better at Rust. Hence the focus on it. All right, now this magic number here, we have to figure out. So let's just create another function. Function tolerance, or calculate tolerance, whatever it is. And we'll give it a font size. So given one element, we have to calculate the other. Some nodes, say, fonts appear to be about eight. Oh, goody, a joke. Well, let's see. Did you know that Bruce Lee had a vegan brother? His name was Broccoli. That's great. So, so given a particular font size, let's say we wanted this font size to be in, goodness, what are the units in Godot? Units are in meters here, aren't they? So having something in fractions of a meter would be very nice. However, we're using integers. Project settings. Do they have units? Search. Unit global. What does that mean? On? Global unit. That's not helpful. All right. Well, why don't we treat this as centimeters? Has it gotten better? In what way? So let's go ahead and say the font size is here. Let's see, how tall would we say this is? That seems very small. Are we scaling it? No, that's the actual size. I don't want to do that way. On docs and missing features, I don't think a lot of progress has been made on docs. So there's some other things have been fixed, but so probably not. How do I get the height of this? Let's say I wanted the height of this unit. They're just going on top of each other now. close the screen and reopen it? It's better. Okay. I don't have a good sense of scale on this. It feels like this is fairly small. All right, so if it's 1500 EM in height, that's really 1500 meters to Godot if we just let it render that. Excuse me. To cough. Let's see, font size, centimeters. So if somebody passes us, let's say they wanted this in, 10 centimeters tall, right? Our tolerance needs to be such that that gigantic thing has a very high tolerance. Let's see, given 10, what should the result be here? I mean, 960 would probably be a good one. Let's just play with that. Let's divide that by font size. F32. That's just a kind of wild guess at the moment. All right, let's patch up the rest. Oh, we need a font size for this text. Font size, CM. Let's say by default it's 30. Should include, out there, default. Oh, 30. second borrow, subtract into variable, rename it, font size, move that outside of the first borrow. Actually move that up there. I think when we do this, we should probably clear out this hash map of multi-meshes. So we're just calling render, but we probably need it to be something else. Reset and render. Make it spatial. Oops. For the moment, we're going to call self.render, passing owner. As reset and render. We need to reset this hash map. You know, we probably only have to reset it if we resize it. Let's leave this one as render. So we could clear that. Now, the multi-mesh, I believe, is a reference counted instance, so that should be okay. Then we'll go through render and create those again. I want to try this. Self. We're going to deconstruct this. Text, font size. There we go. I thought they set this up so you could do this or something similar now. Is it on this side? So we don't want a reference, we want to be able to copy that. Do you reference it here? Oh, I could do that here. But yeah, that doesn't work. All right. Now that's there. We should start laying out the text. Let's give this a check, make sure that this is working. We quit back to project list here. Quit Godot altogether. Huh. It didn't actually set that. That's too bad. Godot hasn't been behaving all that well, and it appears to be crashing at the moment. Oh, no, I just didn't put it in the background. Well, let's try that again. Quit project list. Yes. Get out of there. Put that in the background. Sleep 1. Well, let's say 3. Oh, much better. Okay. Now, our scale's off. If you remember last time, this was crashing stuff. However, it looks like it's not, probably because we don't have that many triangles on scene. Should just be one. That really, really big mesh instance does not help. So here, when we end up getting that ref to that mesh, and then adding it to the scene, we're not scaling it correctly. So we should probably have the information that's returned have the scale information on it. Right now we get this glyph here. Now that's our glyph. We could have that on it. All right, sorry, work thing. See, we could try to scale this down before handing it out, right here. Before creating this array mesh, we could multiply everything by a certain value. that there, that becomes a little tricky. Because if we do adjust this mesh here, then we will go and adjust the tolerance for the tessellator. It'll have to be smaller too. But then the mesh will be the right size. Now we had gone through this before, where we had some sort of multiplier on this and adjusted that there, but then we undid that in favor of scaling it inside of Godot. But it seems like we should just build these for the size that we need them and not have Godot scale them. Ah, that's right. Oh, shoot. But then whenever we get the information out of the TTF parser crate, it's going to be in the other units. So we'd have to scale those as well. So if we leave everything in those units and scale it post facto, then it's simpler. We could just have some sort of function that gets the scale given a font size of function scale. Just adjust all those. Where did we do the deconstructing? I wanted to get rid of a little piece in there. Down below. There's a tessellator. Oh, that was in font. Okay. I need to look at the TTF crate. Maybe we should look in like the TTF spec or something, what these things should normally be. Returns a bounding box that's large enough to enclose any glyph from the face. That's interesting. So I don't think I want that. I want a different height. Glyph. Capital height. Returns the face as capital height. So maybe we use the capital height to calculate this. All right, let's go with the height here. What is the difference between height and capital height? Oh, units per EM. Oh, look at that. Okay, that is fairly useful. Let's at least see what that is. I'm gonna delete this. So given this phase, I want to know what the size is for these. Get the face there. Log debug. Character info. Height. And units per EM. We'll have the character itself. CH. Height. Sure, just print. Also do the capital height. Okay. Odd. Oh. It's not compiling. Let's just remove that for a moment. There we go. Output. Oh, there we go. Character info D, height. 2701, capital height. Interesting. Units per EM, 2048. Alright, got it. So this units per EM is pretty interesting. We could use that. We could say EM is centimeters. We just divide everything by 2048, or whatever comes back here. That might work. Morning, Xenocron. How are you? Tired? Good weekend or bad weekend? Okay. Well, that would probably help a lot. So if we are trying to figure out what the tolerance is, we could use that. First work day of the week. I understand. I'm a little torn here. The font size per EM, or units per EM. Turns none when the value is not in that range. Wow. It's also interesting to see the output here. So the capital height here, 1456. The units per EM. What EM is traditionally the width of the M character. But it's kind of lost some of its historic meaning. I don't even know if I got that right. And for some reason, I am just not putting 2 and 2 together this morning. So if we have the units per EM, and we want it to be a centimeter tall, and centimeters are EM, then we just divide by that value, the 2048. Okay, and if we wanted it 10 tall, we'd divide by 204. How's the buffering today? I was trying something else out. Yeah, every now and then I get some drop packets. And it lasts for a couple seconds, then it comes back. It's also snowing. So if the units per EM is basically the maximum height, or basically their scale of the font, and if we divide it by the units per EM, we would have a unit that's a size of 1. Sorry, buddy texting me. All right, so if we get the tolerance, we're also going to need the font information. So we'll have self. That's going to be equal to self dot font phase dot units per EM. So that's units per EM. And what is the definition of EM? Let's just go Wikipedia that. EM. Oh, E major. Okay, yeah. Lots of interesting stuff. Typography. There we go. Equal to the currently specified point size. For example, 1 EM in a 16-point typeface is 16 points. Okay. The EM dash and the EM space are each 1 EM wide. Ah, the EM was originally referenced to the width of the capital M in the typeface, which was often the same size as the point size. Got it. Yep, then they got CSS stuff. Let's see, I don't think they included point size information here, which is fine, because we don't need that. Yes, sir. Drop some frames. Let's see. I can tell you for how long, too. Latency was just kind of all over the place. So, yeah, it's doing it again. Yeah, I ended up with being able to get into Starlink. And very consistently throughout the day, because, this is the better than nothing beta, um, I'll have very small periods of time where I don't have internet connection. And yeah, it'll go for a long time. I think it has to do with when the satellites are reaching the horizon to my dish. All right. Oh, do I not have font face on that? What's on font data? Okay, fine. It's just that easy. All right, so now we know the units per M. My goodness. Yeah, we're having a bad moment with the uploads to Twitch. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I don't know if my settings for Twitch are going to the right place. Hmm. Interesting. All right, let's keep going. I'm hoping that all these extra satellites are launching are going to make a difference. Now, the 96 here, how did I end up with the 96? 96. Here. This is what I saw first. Pixels per EM. Allows select, see, we don't really have pixels that we're targeting. So, what are we targeting? Just some imaginary size in 3D space. So if our unit size is that, okay, so if it gives us 2,000 and we want to go down to 1, we're going to end up dividing by this number to be able to get 1, and then we multiply by the font size that we want. All right, so let's do that. So really, oh, but this is for tolerance. Grumble, grumble. So I wanted this to be for scale, function scale. And technically I don't need the self on there. So if we say font size in CM, U32, that's going to return an F32. Okay, gonna do this, pause that there. And now, our units per EM. So now we know what we're going to be dividing by. Is this, it's a float, that's a U16, ah. Should we just unwrap that? I don't think we're going to be targeting anybody on some of these crazy, like an OS2 box. That, and I'm not going to be shipping a font that doesn't have this, so that should be pretty safe. Then we have our font size in CM. That's basically 1 divided by units per EM times font size in CM. I think that's what this comes down to, but here we need some conversions. About 0. This needs to be wait, no, that's wrong, isn't it? Because if somebody passes in, oh, I want this to be 16 centimeters tall, that's going to be 16 times the, is it 1 over 2,000? Might be the right scale. Yeah, it's going to be a very small number. Okay. We're going to come back to tolerance in a bit. Not going to touch that yet. Okay, what's broken? Tolerance. Move that up. Okay. We go back over to text. Because for these, we need to know what the scale is. But we're not going to be setting the scale on these children. We're going to be setting the scale on the mesh itself, on the parent, so that we can work in a normal font space. Because all of the unit widths, all that stuff is going to be in basically their units. So we basically have to have something that scales at a higher level. Do I want to say glyph here? I don't think I want glyph. What is the type here? So we're putting these on, oh, that's on glyph builder. I don't think I want those on glyph builder. At least not this one. Move this up. Morning, B4141. I think over here would be better. Just on this. Then we can ask the font data itself for scale. No longer have to do that. Just self. Be a little bit more descriptive with our names here. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been here for a while. Lots of little things. Self-taught. Let's see, we're gonna set the scale on owners. That. There we go. Now it should be much smaller. What? See, that's no, I don't want that one. I want the, it says scale. A vector 3, not a 3D, vector 3. What game am I making? It's a little bit of a psychological thriller. Uh-oh. Oh, goodness. Capitan is down. Capitan is down. Huh. There it is. Okay. Let's see, is that? Okay, that did build. Let's restart Godot for a minute. Okay, that's much smaller. Not small enough, though. Perspective. Let's see the wireframe on this. I don't know why, but it seems to have some trouble with this. So that is much too large. Well, let's check the scale on it. What did that end up being? Let's see, that's inside of screen, inside of text. Nope, it's text here. Oh, I said it's 30 centimeters. Sure, why not 30? If the scale of everything else is small enough. That just seems huge there. Look at that. Vertices. 390,000? That seemed a little high to anybody? Okay, so first off, why is it so high? The count. I think it's... Where'd it go? Come on. No, not in there. In text. Instance count. If I reduce that to 10, I'm guessing it gets smaller, the number of verts. Restart. And that's better. It's behaving better. Screen. Yeah, vertices. Not nearly as many vertices. Oh, neat. We can change that. I don't know if you noticed, but it's just actually behaving very well. Let's change it to something else. How about a W? That's not very good. Close it, save it, open it again. That W doesn't look like a good W. That's because the tessellation failed. It trimmed that right side off. Oh, that's funny. Say that's 300. That should be just gigantic now, right? Yes, and now you can see the tessellation didn't pull that apart. Interesting way, some of these... Why are some of these vertices there? Huh. Seems like they're just right next to each other. Anyhow. Many fewer than there would be otherwise. Let's say we go to 3. Perspective. Oops. Go front view. Focus on the selection. Zoom in a little bit. And the scale is only 0.01. That's interesting. Why is it only 0.01? It should be much smaller than that. We're getting 30 through here. That's fine. Come back to font. Go to our scale function. This will be about 2,000, what we're currently looking at. So we end up with 1 divided by 2048, which is this value. And then the font size in centimeters is going to be times 30. That's 0.014. It still seems too large. Okay, maybe I'm off with the size scale of this. How big is this? The game itself. Yeah, let's go look at one of the keys. One of these buttons here. That is a scale of 1. Height and width here, 1.3. I think that's in meters. Okay, so let's go into the keypad. We're going to go to the screen and adjust this. The font size, smaller. Do I have any other scale set up on this? Just that one. And that one's done programmatically. Because here, if we say that we want it to be centimeters, 100 centimeters, it should be 1 meter tall. But that's much more than one. You can see the grid behind. It's like I'm off by order of magnitude. Alright, so if that's true, where did it go wrong? Go poorly? Font size? No. It's 2048. Oh, this is in units for EM. And in this case, these units are meters. And I'm off by 2 orders of magnitude. Save that, close that. And hit it again. Oh, look. 2 orders of magnitude later. There we go. Font size in CM. This should be about 1 meter. Yeah, that looks about appropriate because the square below it here is 1 square. 1 square meter. Okay. So if we say we want this to be 30, there, now it's much smaller. And we're doing this by changing the scale of what? This scale doesn't have any transform on it. I thought that would be the case. Neither of those two. That doesn't seem correct. It's either that or the editor just isn't picking it up. Back to game. Where's W? Alright, now it's supposed to be... I removed a lot of stuff when I was trashing the old one. But we're supposed to have a larger screen here, like a screen of a calculator, some sort of LCD panel. And I wanted to have 4 or 5 lines worth of text on it. It looks like it's still a little too small. I'll have to get it in the right spot. So far, keypad, screen. Yeah, I'm not seeing any translations on here. just reset that. Let's change this. Okay. That's looking pretty good. I want to try something with some more curves to it. Let's try letter B. Save it, close it. Goodness, that is tiny. Why is that so small here? Keypad, scale's fine. Transform, fine. Border, button, screen. Scale's fine. No idea. B looks okay. It could be a little smoother. You can still see those edges to it. And where the wireframe comes together in that front, those curves. So I think that where is it? Font, the tolerance. Now how do we come up with a good value for the tolerance? The bigger the mesh, smaller the value we want here. We get double the tolerance here. Go with like a 4800 here. That would double it. I want really crisp looking text. So I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit on the vertices in order to get good looking text. Front view. Wireframe. That didn't actually do much. I mean, it changed where things were. So what is this coming out as? This is 4800 divided by 7. 600. What if we use the units per EM? That's going to be 2048 divided by the size of the font. So You know what? We might just want some sort of constant here because I don't know that changing this helps all that much. You know what? I'm going to trash that for a moment. Let's just play around with some values. So in this case, say we want it to be 96.0. The keypad, screen. That doesn't seem to have changed much. I feel like I'm missing something. What's a D look like here? Close it, reopen it. Yeah, I think the B amplifies it because those two curves are a little closer together. Tighter curves. And you can see on this one, it's a little pointy. All right. Because if we do this without tolerance, it uses a default of where is it? Oh, that's the wrong thing. Fill options default. 0.1 the default. There should be quite a few. This one, quite a few vertices. Yeah, look at that. And Godot's having trouble. Yeah. Let's say it's 1. Yeah. That's not bad. Normal? Yeah, that's tolerable. Try a B. Let's reload that. That's pretty good. Okay, now to get the height right. Nothing is tiny up there. You can barely see it. It's way up in the corner. Okay, now our screen object. We're going to need a background for this. So here we have some text. Got a screen. I want some sort of background. So maybe a mesh instance. Give it a plain mesh. It's fine. Transform. But I think we want this one to actually have a slightly different size. So we're going to click into this. Instead of 2 by 2, we're going to make this 3 by 2. Wider. Let's give that a rotation. '90 there. Front view, normal. Okay, it needs to be down and to the right a bit. So 1.5. And then 1 down. Yep. Going to be in slightly, which we'll adjust over here. But I think we also want to change keypad. Oh, I put that on the wrong object. That shouldn't be here. Reset that. Much better. Now here on keypad, we can do some fine adjustments. That down a touch. Move that in a bit. It needs to be about twice as wide as it currently is. Let's do that. We'll come up to the mesh. We'll just make the mesh wider. So instead of 3, 6. And there, now it's 3 over, 1 down. All right. There's some sort of material. Something over there. There we go. Gonna save. Come back here. Odd that it's blue. Is it behind it? Oh, it's Z fighting. There. I know it looks like a calculator. It'll get better. Technically, calculators have more buttons than that. All right, now for rendering the text. That is a nice looking bee. All right. So if that was 2 meters tall, and we wanted 5 rows, we would need these at 40. That'll work. Okay. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now we want these spread out. Give that a save. All right, here's our render. We add the child without adjusting it at all. So each of these fonts end up in the same exact spot. Now, in this area, we will be dealing with the font's scale. So they're going to be, 2048 tall and just massive. But that's okay, because the other part is going to be doing the scaling, parent of this object. So we need to know what the glyph widths are and how far over we've gone. So that's 0.0. Now we want to know what the width was of that glyph that we just put on the screen so we can move these about. Glyph bounding box, horizontal advance, vertical advance, interesting. I'm not sure what these are. I mean, horizontal advance seems appropriate. X height? X height. Oh, that's funny. All right, let's try with the glyph horizontal advance. I mean, the side bearing versus the horizontal advance. Ah, here we go. Glyph conventions. The distance between two successive pen positions is glyph specific, called advance width. Always positive, even for left to right or right to left oriented scripts. Okay. This is a decent page. Glyph's horizontal extent. Bearing X width, okay. X min, X max, sure. So you have the bounding box with the X and Y min and max. You have the advance and the bearing. All right, let's try that. Now we have to get a hold of the font face here, which we probably already have. No? Font data not lock. Let's keep that in the glyph. Because if we have that in the glyph, then it'll be easy. Alright, and horizontal advance was what? I-16. I do not think we're going to need the bounding box on that. We'll just use the horizontal advance. Now we'll address the errors. Bounding box, great. Oh, interesting. That's passed in the build function. Now we're going to have a type error. Okay, so this bounding box we don't need. So we're just going to throw that away, put an underscore on that. But we do need the horizontal advance. So we'll move that into there. So that we have the glyph ID, and now we want the font face. Glyph, horizontal advance, and we give it the glyph ID. Ah, yes, unwrap it. Okay, I got the type wrong. I thought it was I-16, is it not? Oh, that's a side bearing. It's a U-16. Alright, so then we have the horizontal advance on the glyph and can use our spaces. Let's go back to text. Here's our glyph. Now that just puts it into our hash map, doesn't it? Sets it all up. And then this mesh instance interesting. When I see this, I want to avoid the lock. And it feels like our little hash map that we're keeping around here should have the glyph info in it. Instead of just taking the mesh, we should have more. So maybe this shouldn't have. Oh, I see. We have a hash map to multi-meshes. We could have a hash map to glyphs. Those glyphs, let's go look. What's in a glyph? Yeah, the array mesh. It's just a. All this is pretty light. I think I'm optimizing this too much. It's just. Just keep going. Puppy wants out. So I'm going to grab the glyph again. Get just the advanced. We'll clean this up in a bit. Horizontal advance is equal to that. Oh, no. Now we're going to have some type conversion here. Oh, to float. Oh, that's right, these are U16s. That's an I-32. Yeah, fine. Then we can set its offset. The next one. All right. One more there. Alright, that built. Close Godot, save everything. Oh, look at that. They're all in the right spot. Oh, so cute. Shapes aren't bad. You could probably bring that down a little bit more. Where is font? Tolerance, let's go to 2. Close this. Those look like nice fonts. 3D. That looks really good. I'm happy with that. Put a keypad. Punch out the alphabet real quick. Text. Now I have a space between these. Oh, look, the descenders. Okay, so the text needs to be forward just a little bit. What's on top of that? Good. But these look nice. Only 111,000 of those. Crazy. 150. Was it? It's actually culling them based on what's on screen. Oh, because the mesh instances are singular. Oh, interesting. Okay. Crazy. Well, I gotta get going, so we're gonna find somebody to raid. Anybody have any suggestions? See who out there is doing Rust. Alright, we're gonna raid Hardliner. Well, thank you all for hanging out today. I'm glad we got some of that figured out. Next, we're going to go probably into wrapping. We're going to be doing wrapping. And then, at least not lines. We'll want lines. So, until next time, bye-bye.